Hey Denise,
Yes.
are you ready to shoot an episode of Can We Talk?
Yes, I am. Hi, this is Denise Sutton, and I have a very special guest today. She is an author, and she's doing some amazing things. As you may or may not know, in the month of April, we celebrate sexual assault awareness and prevention. This is the month where we take heed to that and we learn more about that. And with me today is beautiful author Keesha L. Pittman, and she wrote a wonderful children's book and even a workbook that will help guide us in this particular month dealing with sexual assault, dealing with predators, even with our children. So I welcome to Can We Talk Television and to you, the viewing audience, Miss Keesha Pittman. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Denise. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
I saw this book last year and I was like, wow. And I was like, I have to have her on the show. And you were doing interviews and you're doing so many promotions. Had your book launch. And then recently I saw you came out with a workbook, which is the companion piece to the book. So
Yes.
tell us, the name of the book is
Bad Secrets, No, Not For Me.
So Keesha, why did you write the book?
So great question, Denise. I wrote the book because I was trying to identify my purpose. As I'm getting older, I started to think about, why am I here? What can I do to better serve others? And because I wasn't quite satisfied as to where I was going in regards to my purpose. So as I was thinking about what I experienced myself as a child, which is molestation, that's what came into play as far as me writing the book, and wanted to share this with children and also their parents and families, so that we can bring awareness to this topic and also to prevent it from happening.
So you said you were trying to discover what was your purpose.
Yes.
What led you to trying to even seek what was your purpose in life?
I guess it was just with my self evaluation,
Mm.
just taking a deeper look into myself and trying to and then trying to determine if I'm going in the right direction. Am I doing what I think is the right thing to do? Am I doing what's going to uh, uh, bring some type of help to other people? So and I think it was more so to take it a step beyond just myself. How can I serve others? How can I be of service to others? So so again, for myself, you're doing so many different things, but then you still find that you're missing something. You still find that you're still not satisfied. So I think that I had that desire inside of me to say, okay, I need to dig a little bit deeper, to find whatever is there. And so, so again, it was just me not being satisfied with myself and trying to dig deeper to find a better way or path to be a better me.
So a few years ago, I remember way before the pandemic, there was a conference given by someone that I know, Tikwa Scarborough.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the speakers there was talking about have to learn how to love ourselves, love one another, and love our purpose.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's important because God wants us to know why he put us here on this earth.
That's right.
We all have a purpose. He has a plan for each and every one of us.
Yes.
When you're struggling trying to figure out what's my purpose, what I have learned over the years is once I seek God, everything else falls in place. Once I learned how to rest in him, once I learned how to pray, once I learned how to hear his voice,
Right.
he would reveal things to me, whether it's my past, which led me to my purpose. I know that I'm an encourager, and
Yes.
I know that I'm here to help other women that have been broken, that have
Yes.
been felt insecure, let down, disappointed, pushed over, knocked down. Because
Yes.
when I have gone through it in my life, or am going through it in my life, or
Yes.
was going through it in my life, then I've learned how, through the power of God, to go forward and press past those feelings of insecurity,
That's right.
feeling those feelings of not feeling loved, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that has led me to my purpose, why I'm here. Do you find that in your own journey?
Wow. Yes, definitely. I think that, you hit it, you're right on point with that, because I think for myself, I was seeking things from others, or was trying to satisfy others. And I started to realize that why I wasn't happy was because I wasn't seeking, God wasn't my priority. I thought that he was, but from my behavior, the things that I was doing, it wasn't demonstrating him as a priority. And if he's not a priority, you're not going to be a priority. You're not going to know your purpose. He's not going to be able to lead you because you're not listening. You're not following his guidance. So definitely when I got to a point where I had a lot of disappointments, um, when you have expectations in others, you're going to experience disappointment. So once I started to learn from those mistakes, think and say, okay, well, it's not a mistake, it's a lesson. So I learned a lot of lessons to that got me to this point. And some even asked, well, I didn't know that you wanted to write a book. I didn't know that you was, moving in this direction. And I said, you know what? I didn't know I wanted to write a book. This is an example of how God works in your life. When you're trying to identify your purpose and you trust in him, he'll lead you to wherever you need to be. So this wasn't a desire of mine. I knew that I had a purpose and I wanted to help people, but I definitely didn't know that it was going to be in this way. So again, this is when you have a relationship with God and you're listening, and again, each of us have a purpose, like you said. But when you're starting to listen and follow his guidance and believe in him and pray and trust in him, these are things will happen that you never expected would happen.
And I'm glad you said that. Things will happen that you never expect would have
Yeah.
happened. It
Yes.
happens. Once you
Yeah.
put your trust in God, God leads you. He leads
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Keesha, there's so many things that are going on in this world today.
Yes.
How does this book help those young children, help those moms, single dads,
Yes.
parents that may be married,
Yes.
broken households, widowers who are raising children? How does this book help them?
It definitely helps them to have more discussions on this topic. It's definitely a touchy topic. It's definitely
Yes.
it's an uncomfortable topic. And so some parents struggle to even talk about this. Some have said, okay, well, some parents are comfortable discussing this with their children, and some may feel like they're not comfortable just yet. And it could be, and sometimes I feel like it's because of the age. Because if some parents may feel like, okay, my child is 4 or 5 years old. I don't want to talk to my children about this at this time. And I'm on the fence about it because I do understand they may feel like it's too early, but the issue, and then also when you try to explain something to a child that young, there's always it could be a misunderstanding, because you can't really explain something to a child that young and have them really fully understand where you're going. Because then if they experience a touch, then they're going to, we don't want them to think that all touches are bad touches. So it could be misleading. But then and the reason why I'm on the fence is because there's sometimes where children are touched 3 or 4 years old. So, and then because we're not having that discussion, it's continuing to happen because, parents are thinking, okay, well, I'm going to wait until my child is 8, 9, 10 years old to have this discussion. So I think that the book is very good because even if your child cannot read, the parent could still have a discussion with their child and read it, or I guess explain it in the way that they want to explain it. Because if your child can't read, they don't know exactly what's in the book. but you can start that conversation and still explain it in a way that you're comfortable in explaining it, instead of not having that discussion at all. Because in my home, we didn't have that discussion. So when things were happening with me, I didn't know what was happening. It was never a discussion in my home. So it just, I just let it continue to happen, especially in my case when it was someone that was born into my home. So it wasn't a stranger, and where I felt like, oh, well, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know this person. But if they're in your home, they're grooming you. They're making you feel like, you're, you know them, you could trust them. So again, I just feel like with the book being on a bookshelf in a home, in the schools, foster homes, wherever you choose to have it, it's promoting the conversation.
And with that said, I love that, but
Yes.
this has to be in larger venues
Yes, ma'am.
across this nation and across this world.
Yes.
I know children are young and they cannot comprehend. Their cognitive learning ability may not be able to, they may not be able to comprehend that at this moment. However, it's up to the parents to
Yes.
guard them and safeguard them from predators. Even,
Yes.
like little kids, when I was a little girl, I didn't sit on men's laps.
That's
You
right.
understand? Because
That's
my
right.
mom or my grandmother, or they taught us. I have a girlfriend who, she was a little girl. I think she was like 2 years old, and she
Yeah.
started coming to church. She
Yeah.
refused, she would not let her daughter play with other older children. Meaning, oh, you're so cute. Let me pick you up and put you on my lap. No. You have to be aware of even taking your children to even daycare. You have to
Yes.
be careful. You have to
Yes.
be mindful. And
Yes.
sometimes parents are lackadaisy or don't think about those things. And the
Yes.
predators are out there.
But what happens, Denise, for all the other cases when we don't have a camera,
Absolutely.
And that's why this book is so important, because we're not going to be able to video everything that happened, and you brought up a good point, because someone said the same thing as you said. Oh, well, when you were younger, I didn't let you sit on anyone's lap, and I didn't let you do these things. But even though that didn't happen, but with a predator, what they do is, again, they wait until you're alone with them, and
Absolutely.
then these things happen. So of course they're not going to let you sit in their lap in front of other people, because they know that
Absolutely.
be a red flag to them. They do all these things behind the scene, if it's late or if there's nobody around. So that's their MO. You don't want parents to think that, oh, well, I don't see anything happening in front of me, or I don't let, my child sit on anyone's lap. Usually these things are not happening in your presence.
Right.
It's happening when either you're sleeping, you're not home, when you're not available. So again, don't think that because you don't see it, it's not happening. Don't think that because, oh, well, my child is only in a daycare with other children and it's not happening. Because keep in mind that your child is with other children that could be molested. And then what are they going to do? They're going to reciprocate, and what they see, what they had happen to them. So although you're thinking, oh, well, they're just around children, they're not around adults, right? But the other children are around adults that may have touched them, and then they're going to come around and start touching your children. So again, we have to figure out a way to feel comfortable having this discussion. And again, this book is just a conversation starter to bring more awareness. But like you said, it's up to the parent to dictate and structure how that conversation will go. Are we going to keep it on 2? Are we going to keep it on 4? Are we going to keep it on 5? We need to keep it on something. It should never be 0, but we need to have this discussion, because I'm just worried that this is something that's continuing to happen.
All right. I love it. I love this conversation, and I can see this in workshops. This book is not only going to touch parents and children, but and schools, perhaps forums dealing with this type of abuse, sexual abuse. And then, October is Domestic Violence Abuse Month, Awareness Month. And so these discussions with certain people that have experienced this, because there's so many men, there's so many women, there's so many children that have written books, that have share their testimony of what has happened to them. But once you get into a forum and make it more aware and available to people. Get the word out there that, hey, this is happening. Hey, we need to do or change whatever we need to do or change to safeguard our children,
Yes.
safeguard our women, safeguard our men, because
Yes.
they're out there. These
Yes.
predators are out there.
Yes.
And the thing is, we must be aware. And I think your book does just that and makes people
Mm.
aware. I actually bought the book. I bought the ebook and I've
Thank
been reading it. And I just love what you've done and what you're doing. So tell me a little bit about the workbook, because it's an activity type of book. Tell us about that.
Yes, so the activity book was actually something that I had in mind and
Mhm.
something that I wanted to take to another level, just to have it as a more interactive discussion and activity for the children to go along with the book. A friend of mine who's also an artist kind of pushed it out to me, quicker than I expected it to happen. So again, that's another example of how God works. He puts people in your path when it's time for you to do the work, and you may feel like, okay, I may need a little more time, or I'm not ready. God said, you're ready, because look at the book. This book is out maybe 6 months after the activity book was out, 6 months after the reading book was available. The activity book is really to piggyback off of the book, just really providing the children with affirmations, reminding them that they're loved, reminding them that, if they're touched, it's not their fault. Giving them like word searches. They also have some type of coloring activity. So just to really not always make it a sad subject,
Yes.
but also to just to remind them how important they are, but to let them know that this is an important subject. And if you do experience it, it's not your fault. You know who to talk to. And I think that the main purpose of the book, of me wanting to write it, is just to let the children know that they're not alone. Because I think that when I was experiencing this as a child, you just think that it's just you. You just think that it's just happening to you, or you may think that it's normal. And if it is happening, other people may be happening to other people. But is it normal? Is it just me? So I think that with this book, again, it brings awareness, it brings more discussions, but also it lets children know that they're not alone. And I want children to feel comfortable, talking about their bodies, and understanding that it's their bodies and no one's supposed to violate it. And if you say no, it's no. So again, it's important. And one of the things that I've noticed, Denise, is when I went to an elementary school and I was speaking to some of the fourth and fifth graders about the book. So I read the book, and they had some great questions. But what I noticed is that when I started to talk about the private body parts, that's when I started to see that they were uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So I had to explain to them. I said, okay, well, you see where we start to talk about your private body parts where you feel uncomfortable. Well, that's why some people don't want to talk about this. That's why, some parents don't want to talk about it. That's why some children don't want to talk about it, because they're uncomfortable talking about their own private body parts. So that's why we created this book, so that it's on your table, it's on your bookshelf, to let you know that you shouldn't be afraid to say these type of things. And so in the book, I touched on the exact names of the private body parts, and some people were on the fence about it. Some people said, yes, I want my children to know what the real name, the private body parts are, just so there's not any misunderstanding.
Yes.
But then some people said, oh, well, I'm not sure if I want them to use that name. So, but I clearly wrote in the book that, use a name that you're comfortable with using. But we still want you to know what the names are. So if you're trying to identify something that happened, we don't want to speak different languages or different words. We want to be clear
Right.
on, I call it this, but this is what this word really is. So again, the children definitely was feeling uncomfortable when we touched on the private body parts. And and that's where I tried to chime in and let them know that it's okay, to say these things, and and understand that it's yours, and it's your territory, and no one's supposed to violate it, and know that it's okay to let someone know if you're uncomfortable, or if
Yeah.
someone did anything inappropriately.
And I understand some parents' hesitation um, for their children to know about this thing at an early age.
Yes.
Yet if the parents are concerned about that, are
Yeah,
they also concerned about all the other things that their children at an early age are subjected to? Whether
that's
it's
right.
vile music, whether it's vile television shows, and even our cartoons
That's
are
right.
very sexually oriented, and the vileness of you're teaching children at a very early age with
Mhm.
certain books dealing with same sex, you know.
Relationships. That's right. That's right.
So if you allow your children to learn about that in schools, our children are learning about these things in schools. When we were growing up, did you ever experience that in school? Learning about uh males and females getting together?
No, no,
But
no.
now it's blatant. And if our children can learn about that, and even their schools, very popular brand name companies that are showcasing our children in promoting gay and lesbian acts or gay and lesbian lifestyles or other type of lifestyles, violence of
Yes,
all natures, teaching them about guns
yes,
and
yes,
hitting one another and disrespecting parents.
yes.
This is what's going on not only in our schools, but
Yes,
on television.
that's
I watched a cartoon and I couldn't believe it that this whatever creature it was hitting its grandmother across the head like it was
wow,
okay and yelling
wow.
at the grandmother. But this is a cartoon.
Yes,
And our
yes,
children are sitting there
right,
and you're
right.
2 and 3 and 4 years old, that's
Yes,
okay. But to
yeah,
teach them about their personal body parts and that God made your body. This
yes, yes,
body, the Lord gave every part of the body, God created it.
yes,
So it's natural to know about your body, you know?
yes, yeah,
And you have to teach the children, early
yes,
what
yes.
not to do, what's appropriate touch, and what's not appropriate touch. So I'm so glad you wrote this book. I'm
Thank
so glad you have the workbook, and I'm looking forward to great hearing even more about what you have coming up. What are you thinking of next to do?
maybe weeks into the book being released. I
Yes.
was invited to an elementary school to read the book and have a discussion about the book. So that was great, and it was well received, and the children had great questions. So I think definitely we're going to stay on this topic for a
Yes.
while because I don't want it to, be a hot topic for a moment and then disappear. Because even as children, they're in elementary school now, but then they're graduating, then they're out of elementary school. But guess what? New children are now in elementary school, so
Yes.
it's a rotating process. It's a never ending process. So I want it to always be a topic, even if I have to go to the same school, next year or the year after. It's going to be different students, and we still want to have this discussion, no, at all times.
How does your family feel about this journey that you're on with the book? Especially you being a mom, a wife. How do they feel about it?
My family, they're very um happy that I identified this and that I'm trying to help other people. Of course, like any other family, they're concerned about me not sharing it earlier as a child and wanted to know the details about, who was involved and things like that. But respecting, my privacy, they're just happy with me revealing my truth and wanting to help other people to ensure that it doesn't happen to others. So they're definitely supportive.
So would you say that they're supportive? Because I understand in the book you mentioned that um your dad passed away and your mom basically moved you from one area and then you moved to Long Island, and she was a single mom. She was a loving mom. She's doing what she had to do to raise you and your siblings. I believe you're the oldest, correct?
Right. So I have a sister, and
Right.
so it's just me and my sister, and I'm the oldest out of us two. And my biological father passed away
Yes.
before my second birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she definitely was, raising us alone until she remarried. So again, it's always a touchy subject when you talk
Yeah.
about having a father in your home And to be and I don't want it to be a misconception to think, oh well, if you do have a father in your home, that this won't happen.
Exactly.
I don't, so I brought that up just to explain, my truth and what I experienced. But
Yes,
it can happen if a father is in a home or present or not. We
absolutely.
just take advantage and try to get in where they can. But right. So it was me and my sister until my mom remarried.
And I just love the fact that you wrote it, you made it, adaptable for children. And it's a great read for adults as well, that they can purchase the book and sit down and have discussions, family discussions with their children if they don't think that the child is ready for it at a certain age, but definitely have it handy for when they come of age according to what that parent feels, and then they can share that and
Yes.
talk to their child. And that's what you wanted, that's what you want the book to do. You want
Yeah.
the book to go forward and help not only a parent, but whether it's a foster parent or a auntie, you know, someone to take it forward and prepare that child for life.
Right.
Life.
And I was even thinking along the lines, Denise, with me, I've gone to local libraries and shared the book with the libraries, and just dropped them off because I wanted the children still to have access to this information,
Yes.
even if they can't afford it, or even if they're not aware of it, as long as it's somewhere where it's reachable, if they can borrow it. Because again, they may not be experiencing this now, but maybe someone that they know may be experiencing this. Maybe, sometime in the future they could experience it. You don't know. Um, but definitely the foster homes is also important because sometimes the children are jumping from home to home, and because they're just happy to be in a home, they're not really discussing maybe the bad things that are happening because they're just happy to just have their own room or just be with a friend and things of that sort. So again, we just want to the book is here just to reiterate that the children are not alone. Things are happening across the board, like you said, in so many different areas, from bullying to so many different things, and I just want them to know that they're not alone. Yeah.
I want to commend you again. If there's
Yeah,
anything that you would want the audience to take away, what are your 2 or 3 bullet points you would like to share
yeah,
about
that's
not only your experience, but of the book? Those 3 things
yeah.
that you would like to leave with the audience.
One thing that I would like to share, and what I found for myself in this experience, is to get out of your comfort zone, trusting yourself, and sometimes and also don't be fearful. Go after your dream, but there was no fear. I let God lead me. Yeah, I got out of my comfort zone. So sometimes you have to take that leap of faith to become the better you. So that was one thing. That was one thing on the top of my list that I've learned. So I think that's very important. Um, Also, which another thing that we touched on is to say that this book is important in regards to awareness. I know that we may have the fear of discussing this to our children, speak this into existence, but again, it's for awareness so that they're comfortable having this discussion with you and not waiting until after it happens to have this discussion. And then the third thing is you start to see me do like a hashtag, no bad secrets. It is similar to the Me Too movement,
Yes,
but so for adults, for them
right.
to speak up and speak their truth. So with the no bad secrets hashtag or movement, where I'm trying to go with that is to say, let's have this discussion now and bring awareness to it, and have dialogue and try to prevent this for children while they're young, because we don't want them to wait until they're adults, as those in the Me Too movement or myself, to speak up to say something years later when they could prevent it. If I would have had this discussion with my mother decades ago, then I wouldn't have to experience the things that I experienced. So that children aren't scared to have this discussion, parents aren't afraid to have this discussion. Yeah, it's touchy, it's uncomfortable, but it's definitely important to have.
And it's needed. It's
It's needed. Yes,
definitely
it
needed
is.
because it's
Yes, it is.
more prevalent than we even think.
Yes.
No, if it was in our generation that it was going on, how much more so now in this generation with everything else going on in this world that we see left and right, whether it's on the news, in our neighborhoods, you see it. And if you don't see it, you
Yes.
hear about it.
Right. It's definitely on the news, Denise. I every time I turn on the news, I'm always seeing it, even if it's in another state, as I'm checking, I see it going on. And then also that I even see like some type of networks, even if it's on online, where they have a whole segment. Well, not even a segment, it's a whole brand where that's all they talk about. People, women coming on, or even men sometimes coming on to talk about their experience, that that talk about them being molested as children. So it's so huge that they made a big I'm trying to say it must be some type of channel. So it specifies just on molestation. So you see, different men and women coming on saying, okay, well, this happened with a sibling, or this happened with the uncle, or this happened with the friend. And again, it's happening so often that they made a whole show about it. So every week, or every week that it comes on, it's more and more people that that are speaking their truth. So again, like you said, it's happening more often than we think. And again, we have to talk about it. And I think that with us having this book in homes, as we have predators in our homes, and they see this book, they're going to say, okay, well, these children have been informed. They're not unaware of this. So because if you look at the book and someone says, okay, well, what is this book about, and why is this book here? Once it's a topic that's in people or families' mouths, maybe you will want to stay away from that family. But if you know that this is not something that people are talking about, and they're scared to talk about it, then you're going to want to be around where this could be a secret, and where no one's not going to say anything. But if you see this book, I want it to be a well-known book, just from the cover alone, just from the bad secrets alone, to say, leave these children alone. They know what's going on. They're talking about this topic. They know that it's not their fault. They know that, they're not alone. And, and we're on a mission to stop it.
I love it. I know it's a touchy topic, and there are the predators out there. And then it makes you wonder, at one point, were the predators also victims?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
A lot of times the predators were also once victims, and
That's
they're
right.
acting out what they never healed from
That's
their
right.
past,
That's
or
right.
from their present,
That's
or
right.
even from their abusive lifestyle,
Yes.
from wherever they are now, whatever they're doing.
Yes.
They themselves become the aggressor, the
That's
predator,
right.
right? And
Yes.
so not only do we have to pray for our children and pray for ourselves as
Yes.
parents, as caregivers, as aunts and uncles, grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
cousins, whoever, neighbors.
Yes.
But we also have to pray for the predators.
That's right. That's right.
And sometimes that's a hard thing to do.
Mm.
It is.
Yeah.
But God has called us to love. And you said in your book, you had to learn how to be loved. You had to learn how to love yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And even in loving ourselves, we have to learn how to love our enemies.
That's right. That's right.
Love
That's
those that have done wrong to us.
right. Right.
And that can be difficult.
Yes.
That's not an easy thing.
Yes.
But Jesus died on the cross so that we could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He forgave us. So who are we not to forgive others? And it's a hard pill sometimes, a very hard pill to
Yes.
swallow. But
Yes.
forgiveness, it really frees us up. It makes us free when we forgive. No matter how difficult that person may have done to you, for how long. I think about Joyce Myers. She always tells her
Mhm.
testimony about how she was molested by her own father as a child for
Yes.
years.
Yes.
And she had no self-worth. She felt alone. She felt, she was just a mean son of a gun, kind
Yeah.
of thing growing up.
Yes.
And she had to learn how to
Forgive.
forgive her mother and father. She had to,
Yes.
because her mother knew what was going on
Oh, wow.
and did nothing about
Tough.
it.
That's tough. That's tough.
And then when her parents became old, the Lord told her to take care of them. And she's like, it had to be the devil. She always tells the story, oh, it had to be the devil. But it literally, the Lord told her to take care
Yeah.
of your parents, because the
Yeah.
word of God tells us, honor your mother and your father
Uh,
so that your days may be long.
yes.
To
Yes.
honor our parents so that
Yes.
we can live long and healthy lives and prosperous lives. And it's not always easy, but
No.
we still have to love them.
Right.
So when did you know that you were worthy of love?
Wow. That's a good question. Um, I realized that I was worthy of love when um I had to learn that um I found out I was worthy when it came a time where there were a lot of expectations and it was also a lot of disappointments.
Mm.
And disappointments that you experience, or and again, some people call it failure or mistakes, but again, I call them lessons. That's what led me to God, because when you're dependent on other people, or you have expectations of people, you're disappointed, and then you start to um, have lack of confidence, or you start to feel bad about yourself, or you start to not to trust people. And then also when you're a child that may be experiencing being touched inappropriately. And I had experiences where I was being touched inappropriately, even from adults to children as well. Because again, sometimes children get into that play mode where they say, "Oh well, let's play doctor, or let's play mommy and daddy, or let's play house." So again, you get to experience all these different things. So you know, with me as a child and then growing up, I think I started to think to myself, okay, well, this is what love is, or this is what I'm expected to do. So once I started to realize that that's not what I'm here to do, and that I'm worth much more than that, because of the disappointments and because of me repeating the same things over and over again, that's when I started to say, you know what, I'm doing things my way and it's not working. I'm doing things my way, and I know that it's not making God proud, and it's not making me proud, or make it. And again, that's where me seeking my purpose came in, to say, what should I be doing? Why am I here? We're not just here just to be here and just to live recklessly and do whatever we want to do. We should be here inspiring people, motivating people,
Yes,
helping people. So once I realized that God is the priority and everything else will follow, then that's when I started to realize my self-worth. And then, like I said, everything else just started to fall into play, because if we use our own judgment or what we think is supposed to be, especially if we keep repeating the same mistakes, we're not going to get to where we're supposed to be.
absolutely. That's it. You summed it up in a nutshell.
Yeah.
We have to get to where we're supposed to be before we leave this earth.
Yes.
God wants us to feel the purpose that He has planned for us.
Yes. Yeah. And even and even this is the tough part about me revealing my truth in it, because I always say that I wrote the book in hopes of helping children and bringing awareness to this topic, and giving them some type of protection, and making sure that they know that they're not alone. But as I started to in the book and talk about myself as the author, I was on the fence about identifying myself as, me, as this happening to me as well. And again, it was important, that I did that, because again, it's evident that the children are not alone. I'm a living proof that, I'm a witness that this has happened, and I'm a witness that decades later it's still happening. So that's why it was important that I wanted to reveal my truth to to not just say the children are not alone, but I'm proof that the children are not alone, because it happened to me. So so that's why it was important that I wanted to take it to another level by revealing myself as a victim or survivor, however you want to say it, but a person that experienced this, and to say this too shall pass, And as we experience bad things, what can we do to turn that bad experience to a good experience? What can we do to turn that bad experience to something that's going to help other people? Because a lot of times we experience things and then we're ashamed, and we may not, and we're afraid to, share certain things that could really help someone else, because that's our testimony. So I'm definitely not afraid to, speak my truth if it's going to help someone else. Because at the end of the day, it made me a better person.
Amen. What the enemy meant for evil for your
Yes.
life,
Yes.
God has worked that out
Yes.
for Keisha's good.
Amen. Amen.
And for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation after.
Amen. Amen. And the good thing about it, Denise, is that, even when I'm no longer here on earth, this book will still be here. Yes. Thank you
God
so much.
has you. I thank you. I thank you for this time. And I'm sure the audience will love this. And how can someone purchase your book if they like to get it?
Yes. So definitely visit my Bad Secrets Children's Book.com website. And there you'll be able to purchase the book, the reading book, the activity book. And there's even an opportunity for you to reach out for services. If you want me to visit your school, you want me to visit your foster home or a library, you can even send me an email to set that up.
And I understand it's also on Amazon.
Yes, yeah. So you could purchase them on Amazon. They're both, the activity book and reading book are both on Amazon. And I believe the reading book is also available at authorhouse.com, which is my publishing company.
Okay, so you have your own publishing company as well.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent.
Yep. Yes.
Excellent. So I'm looking forward to more from you.
Yes.
And I am also, I purchased my book from, I believe, Barnes and Nobles.
Okay.
So it seems like you can get the book, wherever books are sold. I got my ebook, I got my copy, and I hope everyone decides to get their copy really soon. If you haven't gotten it yet, please go out and support Keesha Pittman. Get your copy of Bad Secrets, No, Not For Me. Bad Secrets, No, Not For Me. Get your copy today, and I'm sure it will bless not only yourself, but your family members, and share with your congregation. This is a discussion that should be in churches. It should be in schools. It should be in libraries. It should be forums.
So leave your book reviews and share the book with others. Once you read it and it's no further need of yours, pass it on to someone else that can use it.
I love it. Well, thank you, Keesha. I look forward to having you again on Can We Talk Television. And until next time, thank you. This is Denise Sutton signing off for Can We Talk Television. Take care and God bless.
Hey Denise,
Yes.
are you ready to shoot an episode of Can We Talk?
Yes, I am.